There are moments in life when the air shifts, as if the universe inhales, holding its breath. And in that strange pause, something arrives. A glance, a conversation, a soul you don't yet know, but somehow recognize. They don't explode into your life. They slip in quietly, like a thread your heart already knows how to weave. You speak, and something ancient stirs. Not memory, recognition. What if you're about to meet someone who doesn't just enter your story, but rearranges your soul? Carl Jung believed these meetings are never random. He spoke of synchronicity, of the anima and animus, of the mysterious ways our psyche prepares for transformation, not through events, but through people. Because some souls arrive not to love you gently, but to awaken you fully. In this video, you'll discover 4 subtle signs that you're standing on the threshold of a meeting that will not just change your life, but reveal who you were always meant to become. What if the shift you've been sensing isn't just about change, but about someone arriving? Someone whose presence isn't random, but ritual, an echo of something already unfolding inside you. Because in Jung's world, the outer encounter always mirrors the inner transformation. He had a name for this sacred timing. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, those strange, meaningful coincidences that defy logic, but feel too precise to ignore. They're not accidents, they're psychic fingerprints, clues that something within you is stirring, something that's beginning to shape the world outside you. Jung believed that when we reach certain thresholds in life, times of deep questioning, after symbolic deaths or endings, during spiritual awakenings or inner disorientation, the unconscious begins to reach outward, and in response, someone begins to walk toward you, not because the universe is granting a wish, but because your soul is ready. He wrote, "What you meet in another being is the mirror of your own level of consciousness. This is the foundation of all true connection. Not fate, not romance, but resonance. Some call it soul contracts, others divine timing. Jung would call it archetypal alignment, your inner world preparing to meet its reflection in another." And these encounters, they are not always easy. They may not always last, but they always change you. They arrive when you've cleared enough inner space to receive them. When your soul calls, not for comfort, but for expansion. And someone answers. Sign number 1. Your inner world feels like it's being rearranged before they ever appear. Something inside you begins to shift. Not loudly, not all at once, but subtly, like furniture in a dream being moved in the dark. You may wake feeling disoriented, as if your desires no longer fit your current life, as if your heart is making space for something or someone you can't yet name. Carl Jung taught that transformation begins in the unconscious. So before the soulmate arrives, your soul begins preparing the space. Old patterns rise to the surface. You find yourself confronting things you thought you'd buried. Wounds, longings, memories, fears. You might feel restless in familiar places, disconnected from people you once felt close to. The things that used to satisfy you don't anymore. This is not depression. This is not confusion. This is reorientation. You are being tuned, like an instrument adjusting its strings to a new song. And often, that new song is not meant to be played alone. Jung believed that the psyche knows. It senses what's coming before the mind can understand it. So if your inner world feels like it's unraveling, don't panic. Pay attention. You're not falling apart. You're being reassembled. This kind of inner disarray is sacred, because the soul doesn't invite in transformation while the house is tidy. It invites it in when it's ready to be rebuilt. And sometimes the person who helps you rebuild is already on their way. Sign number 2. Synchronicities begin to intensify. As your inner world begins to shift, your outer world starts whispering back. You see a name, again and again. You hear a song from your childhood in a cafe, the same one that played in your dream the night before. Strangers start speaking about the exact topic you've been silently wrestling with. This is not coincidence. This is synchronicity, one of Carl Jung's most mysterious and powerful concepts. Jung believed that when the unconscious stirs, it doesn't just move within you. It begins to bend the world around you, to reflect, to echo. The psyche, he said, arranges outer events to mirror inner transformation. So you notice patterns, symbols, numbers. You're drawn to a place without knowing why, and find something meaningful waiting there. You begin to sense that life is conspiring, not to test you, but to guide you. Synchronicities are breadcrumbs from the soul. They don't always lead directly to the person. Often, they lead to the version of you who is ready to meet them. So if the signs feel louder lately, if reality itself feels like it's making eye contact, don't dismiss it. This is the psyche's poetry, its way of saying, you're close. Sign number 3. You begin meeting parts of yourself. You've long ignored. The person who will change your life is never just someone out there. They are someone who meets you where you've never met yourself. Before that meeting can happen, your psyche calls you inward. You begin to feel emotions you thought you'd buried, grief that suddenly visits, desires you were taught to suppress, fears that rise not to punish you, but to be seen. This is shadow work, the process of recovering the rejected pieces of who you are. Carl Jung believed that the people who impact us most are not random. They are mirrors. They reflect our unconscious, our hidden wounds, our unlived strengths, our deepest longing for wholeness. You may start confronting your fear of intimacy, only to later meet someone who sees past your armor. Or your inner feminine might soften, just before you meet a man who mirrors her grace and strength. These meetings don't happen when we're perfect. They happen when we're real, when we've done enough soul excavation to stand in front of another and see not a savior or a fantasy, but a reflection. As Jung said, we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are or who we're ready to become. And sometimes, becoming that person is the true preparation. The soulmate is simply the echo. Sign number 4. A deep calm or knowing emerges. After all the restlessness, the signs, and the strange synchronicities, something shifts, not in the outer world, but within. You stop feeling like you have to chase love, seek validation, or mold yourself to be seen. There's a quieting, a strange, sacred stillness. You may not have met the person yet, but your soul whispers, they're close. This is not fantasy. It's not hope wrapped in anxiety. It's a deep-rooted knowing, the kind that arrives when your inner and outer worlds begin to align. Carl Jung would describe this moment as the self, the deepest center of your psyche, moving into conscious awareness, not as an idea, but as an embodiment. You stop looking for someone to rescue you or fill the gaps. Instead, you feel worthy of a deep, conscious connection. Not because you need it, but because you've become it. It's the paradox Jung often pointed to, that you attract what you've already cultivated within. Even if the person hasn't appeared yet, you no longer feel desperate. The magnet is already active. The signal is already being sent. Jung wrote, "Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. But now, you're ready to speak those things, not just to anyone, but to the one who will recognize them. And when you reach this still point within, life listens, because your soul is finally speaking clearly. So who is this person you're about to meet? They might not arrive how you expect. They may not be a lover. They could be a teacher, a friend, a creative collaborator, even a stranger you meet only once. But their presence will mark a psychic threshold, a turning point. Carl Jung believed these encounters are archetypal in nature, meaning they carry a mythic weight. They activate the self. They awaken sleeping parts of you. They show you who you've become, or who you're still afraid to be. They don't exist to complete you. They exist to reveal you. Sometimes they arrive when you've surrendered something. Other times, when you least expect it and most need it. But one thing is certain. After they appear, you cannot go back to who you were before. Not because of them, but because of what they showed you in yourself. Jung once said, "We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life." And this meeting, whoever it is one of those sacred disguises, a mirror, a message, a doorway disguised as a person. And so, if the signs are stirring, if your soul is whispering, the question becomes, how do you prepare for a meeting this sacred? Not by searching outward, but by becoming the version of you who can truly receive it. This isn't about effort, it's about alignment. Journaling your rawest fears and desires, tuning into the quiet nudges of dreams, following synchronicities instead of logic, and yes, meeting the shadow through therapy, art, or honest solitude. Go where your spirit feels most alive, because that's where they'll find you. The more authentic you become, the less you have to strive, because the soul does not attract what is perfect, it attracts what is true. As the mystic Rumi once said, echoing Jung's deepest teachings, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. Somewhere, someone may already be walking toward you, quietly, unknowingly, pulled by the same invisible current. They don't know your name, but their soul remembers your frequency. You won't need to chase them. You'll recognize them, not with your eyes, but with something older, deeper. Your soul will exhale, and when they arrive, there may be no fireworks, just a stillness, a sense that time folds in on itself, and everything feels softly inevitable. Because in truth, this was never just about meeting them. It was about meeting yourself, fully, nakedly, unapologetically, so that when they appear, you'll finally know how to be met. This is the work of the soul, the alchemy Jung called individuation, and it begins now. From echoes